Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a mod stream. We're back in action after successfully smashing out some quality work on the engine earlier today. But it's always nice to come back to reality, work on some stuff we've already been working on for a while. Well, maybe it's not always nice to do that, but that's what I'm doing. So there you go. Just wanted to check in very briefly on the poll. It looks like Doom 2016 will be the next LP unless something radically changes pretty soon. So guess you can stay tuned for that. I obviously have to work on the BioShock review, which has not even begun because I've been busy doing other things. But I should be able to make some more time for videos in the near future, so who knows? We will see what happens. So yeah, aside from that, not really much has changed. We're going to jump pretty much straight into some additional development. I just spent a little bit of time working on some revision to the GPTP plugin to help iQuare reduce the lag. Not 100% sure how much lag is going to be reduced by this. In the worst case, it will only help a little bit. So it should be a net positive no matter what. And it didn't take too long for me to do, so it's worth it, I think. Maybe we'll fix some serious issues as a result of this. But iQuare is currently working on that, I believe. And quite exciting. Glad to have him back on board, so to speak. We're going to jump into the map that we've been working on for a little while now. And I guess we can keep working on the visuals, maybe work on a little bit of the planning in the notepad file here. Figure out what the personalities of the players are going to end up looking like if left to their own artificial devices. What's up, George? What's up, Humfef? DF? Humfef? Hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, and I will plug once again the engine stream. I'll be publicating that at some point soon. It's pretty exciting to finally be working on the new engine. I'm quite happy about that. Guess you could say we're epic. I did do a little bit of decoration earlier where I painstakingly put together the crevices for all of the dirt, like ground level expansions. I don't think I missed any, besides this one, which requires sand dunes, which we have in the tile set. I just didn't bother doing that one. So it looks like that means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bases that we have left to crevicify. So I guess we could just bang those out. And that'll give me some time to think a little bit more about what else we might be doing later on in this stream. What did I use to get high dirt on high dirt? This uses a pretty expansive customized tile set. So we have like structure and asphalt and stuff ported from other tile sets. I've just edited the stuff in Photoshop. Maybe that's what I can do after I'm done with the crevices, actually, is dive into working on... This feels bigger for some... Oh, my monitor is actually higher up. That's why things seem a bit bigger. I actually like it better this way, though. Creep is sick. Will it look like this in game? I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, you're probably talking about the fact that it's transparent in... No. It looks like this in game, just like normal, right? We're not gonna... that's only transparent because we're in the terrain layer. That's something that you can set yourself. I did want transparent creep, but it seems like it's a pretty big headache to actually program in, so we're just gonna say that we could save that for like maybe the new engine or something. I don't actually know if like where my stuff is at. This looks like it's what this looks vaguely related to the... I think I did this at some point. Let me just take a look at the... details and the date. Because whatever I edited most recently is what there should be day, month, years, so yeah, it must be. Whatever I edited the most recently was the one that in theory is the higher quality one. So it looks like this is the one where I started masking out the oh wait, no. I don't know, these both seem like pretty similar, but whatever. I basically have to do the cliffs in the same way that I am used to doing the other stuff. I'm not 100% sure if... Okay. I guess that would be that then. Yeah, okay. Maybe we'll just do this. I need to finish fixing up the cliffs because it might look fine at a glance, but you can see some pretty obvious inequities, shall we say. Love Photoshop. Great program. Oh, I guess it's probably part of the rock, isn't it? It's kind of hard to tell where the rock begins or ends and where the sand begins or dirt, I guess, in this case. To leave it up to interpretation. I think this is fine, though. But yeah, I've done cliff suites like this where I mask out the original terrain and I just replace it with, like, I could turn it on for you so you could see. Like, voila. But I have to finish the masking, obviously. And the old one was just, it was done before I really had any quality control because, well, I just didn't know the right techniques, basically, so. I'm redoing it because it's actually quicker to do that than to fix the old PSD files, even though I still have them. Photoshop streams. And obviously, once I'm done with the masking, I can then do like a bit of a depth layer almost, where I work in and try to help the transition between tiles, essentially. We try to preserve the border as well as best we can for maximum readability as to when the cliff begins and like what should be traversable and all that. But it's kind of a balance because you want to make sure that things are easily read in terms of what's pathable and not. But then you also want the cliffs to be consistently pathable in the same ways. Otherwise, just by virtue of the terrain randomizer and by virtue of not wanting everything to look identical, you'll run into issues where the terrain will lead to small imbalances in like a melee map or just small interactions that maybe you don't actually want to include. What have you been up to lately, DF? You get up to any crazy shit in that plane game that you play sometimes? Anything particularly meme-worthy come out of that experience? Another thing I might end up doing is like having a 50% mask, like something like this, which doesn't look like 50% here, but it would be. So if I could re-enable that, then it sort of changes the color from the orangey stuff to the more yellowy stuff. That's in general something that I like to do because it gives me a like more accurate transition between a couple of the different tiles. But that's stuff that we can do a little bit later on, fine tuning, so to speak. I think Desert is one of the few tile sets where the cliffs aren't always one-to-one, like mirrored, essentially. It's kind of interesting. But it does make it slightly more arduous for me to mirror my edits, obviously, since the tiles themselves are not mirrored. Yeah, ideally that compound ramp would be easy enough to slap together, but I understand your misgivings, for sure. So these two appear to be mirrored. This one, yeah. This one. Oh, maybe they are mirrored. I guess they are. I don't know why I thought otherwise. Desert tiles changing color in Fog of War. I'm not aware of that happening at all, so I don't believe I have fixed it as a result of not knowing that it existed. Yeah, maybe that's what I was thinking of then. I have a distinct memory of feeling like the yeah, there we go. Wait, what? Oh, right, yeah, because that's 50. All right. Should be good enough. I guess it might be a vanilla bug then. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. It would definitely be a while ago though. If that is the case. Yeah, that's a Control Z, oh fuck moment. I like that though. I have been guilty of that sometimes. Not paying 100% attention to whatever the fuck is going on in a zip file. In a compressed directory. was pretty cool to see some of the people come out of the woodwork and discuss the engine stuff. That was very nice, very exciting during that stream. And then obviously we can reduce the opacity of this stuff later on if need be to preserve a couple of the smaller details. It's personally more important to me right now to just get a vaguely acceptable standard of visual quality. I do have this tendency to overfocus on things like aesthetics without actually having the function, so to speak, or just too early on to worry about that stuff. I guess it might be something you would be able to fix, actually, DF, but not 100% certain. Do you remember which tiles in Desert specifically were expressing the issue, Alexander? Might help us narrow it down. Upgrades are removed because they create a very inconsistent game state. They are also almost always fire and forget, which means there's no counterplay once they are achieved. And what they provide is obviously scaling, right? That's replaced with just having a million units, which obviously we can't have too many in the current engine. But if you have an expansive tech tree, then you scale by unlocking higher tier things. And then teching up is a massive expression of power by virtue of having units that can handily defeat lower tier stuff, right? And so while it sounds like you're actually compromising the strategic depth of the game by removing upgrades, you can't just remove upgrades. You have to have something fill the sort of gameplay gap, the design gap, the systems gap. But you do that if you do that the way that I've just outlined, then you have a significantly improved game on your hands, generally speaking. Because then you're rewarding players for teching up instead of rewarding them for achieving some arbitrary like wait time, basically. That can't even be alienated. I would have less of an issue with upgrades if you could knock your opponent back to the Stone Age, so to speak, and reduce their upgrade count. Sort of like if it was like a buff given by a spellcaster or something, if you could imagine that as like a way to deliver upgrades. Or if it was unlocked by way of having a certain structure and destroying that structure reduced it. But then you still have the issue of inconsistency, generally speaking. At which point you do have to wonder why you're putting them in there at all, right? So. I think a more consistent game state in general is significantly better than having concessions based around scaling when you can just have superior units at higher tech tiers. the counter is getting upgrades of your own, but you still have no counterplay to the fact that it's an advantage. There's not even really any thought process in terms of, do I get the upgrade? The answer is always yes, right? The question is when, as opposed to if. Whereas if you have a increased strategic diversity in terms of the unit compositions you can field, the question then becomes, under what conditions do I train this unit, instead of at what point in my build order do I push this button and then benefit, like, years later, obviously, in gameplay pacing terms. I'm sure some people will end up disagreeing with it or be miffed by the fact that there aren't any upgrades, but the people who want to express the power of their tech tree can do so much better in Hydra than they could in Brood War, because there's just more tech tree to express, right? It's a deeper tech tree to engage with. I think one of the main issues, right, is that when you're trying to do something like what I'm trying to do, which is provide a sandbox environment, in theory, for really long, large-scale battles where you can take upwards of like 3 hours on a single mission, but it's all gameplay and no filler. The obvious question then becomes, how do you allow something to be... How does that not get tiring? Like in a negative way, anyway. Like if it's just something that pushes you to your limit, it's not even really a negative way, in my opinion. But how does that not get old? How does that not get boring? And you can still engage by exploring a tech tree that could, in theory, take hours and hours to fully explore in the time span of a normal match. Then that's one way that you do that. So if you have like multiple hour missions, like what I plan to include, eventually, it's not something that I can realistically support in Hydra. Maybe you can get up to like an hour plus of actual gameplay and not just like grind and stupidity. But it would be a tough sell, right? It would be a tough ask, at least, because there's not as deep a tech tree as would be required for that. But in the new engine, in the new game, that's stuff that we can, I think, benefit from pretty well, actually. And then the argument to remove upgrades comes from the fact that they don't actually add anything to the game state at that point, because you've replaced what their utility is in terms of providing scaling. You've replaced that with a deeper tech tree, so you don't even need to worry about it. They kind of justify their own removal at that point. But I think the biggest argument against it is that it's just boring. It's a binary interaction of whether or not you have this upgrade, instead of it being like a skill check. Because with a production structure, it's not just building the structure and then getting the benefit. You have to make use of it. You have to have the resources to support it. Whereas if this was a situation where, like, there's no corollary for upgrades, you just get the upgrade and then you have it forever. All right, let's take a look. Oh, never mind. I see where I fucked it up. Which one was this? 19. Oh no, it was 22. Yeah, that is a weird issue. I don't know why that happens. Maybe maybe DF knows why that one happens. Well, I guess there's your answer. Yeah, see if there's something you can do to alleviate those issues, I guess. Appreciate it. A permissible distraction from the ramp that you're scared to start. Let's get rid of some of these uglier, brighter spots throughout this area. And we should be... Yeah, this should be significantly better than what we have right now. I think the ones that are currently in there are actually even like palette fucked to a pretty extreme degree, so even more reason to fix them up, so to speak. Can you believe that even Shirk is excited for the new engine? That tells you something. We're on to something here at the Frauds Club. The only people who are probably, well, the only person who is not excited for the new engine, if I had to guess, would be DF. And not because he's not excited, but because he knows as soon as that engine completes, the art requests start flying off the shelves. Hey, DF, can you make me this? Hey, DF, can you make me that? Hey, DF, I need this. I'll have to go into hiding. There you go. Top ones are done. Yeah, north ones are done. South ones should be even easier, to be honest. What do you mean? You'll just put your mod into the new engine. I guarantee you it'll be, like, massively easier than working with fucking Brood War. Like, the whole point is that it should be really easy for people to, at least once they've gotten used to how stuff works, it should be super easy. Like, that's the goal anyway. Whoa! Missed one. There you go. Bad Photoshop. But if you also want to just give Brood War one last 21 gun salute, then that's also fine. The real surreal thing that's also probably going to be pretty annoying is, like, if I have to figure out, like, how payroll works or something. I probably won't even bother. I'll probably just be like, all right, here's the Steam payout for this month. Here's everybody's cut. But I guess we should probably have that in a contract or something. Even if it's just like a fucking makeshift shit contract. Like what people's agreed upon percentages are. Again, that's massively getting putting the cart before the horse, so to speak. But that's the part of me, like, I'm not really interested in that at all, in terms of, like, learning how that shit works on a legal level. And I'm going to hopefully minimize any necessity for that at any point. Without it being, like, scummy, so to speak. I certainly don't want people thinking that I'm avoiding shit like that because I want to scam people. I'll put it to you that way. But luckily, I think most people who contribute to this, to the engine, to Hydra, to these projects, are not worried about cash flow. So, like, myself included, if I had to pay the bills, I would be a little bit more worried. Well, I have to pay the bills, but if I was having difficulty doing that, I would be a bit more worried. But Yeah, some things are just objectively better, huh? I can't believe the resource thing is like not just part of the default game, to be honest. It's like so fucking good. And feels like really natural and obvious once you play with it that it beggars belief that people didn't put that in to begin with. That it wasn't just like a default feature. It also unlocks some really cool things that map makers can do, like starting off with like a close by base in a campaign scenario or something where it's depleted. What the fuck did I just do? Oh, I started to crop. Great. Where am I? Like basically doing something like what I was about to say there is placing a low quality or low quantity base and having it be nearby so you can choose to get a benefit from it immediately or you can let it regen or something, you know? And that stuff happens emergently as well, which is pretty cool. All right, let's bang this out now. It's going to be a lot of rock coloring. I guess we should probably do the lower level as well after this. These are details that beforehand I definitely would have, like, even a year ago or so, I probably would have omitted. Just because it's just that little bit of extra work. But I think just like the resources, actually, it'll feel pretty natural. And you'll wonder why it wasn't there to begin with. Sometimes like a file will be there, and then if I try to delete it, it'll be like this file does not exist or whatever. So if that's what you mean, then yeah. I think that's just Windows Explorer being terrible though, like the actual process, the program. There are some pretty long-standing bugs with Windows Explorer. All of them ridiculous, and I guess you could say that you could call them hilarious. I think they're mostly infuriating. Like when you try to rename a file by changing capitalization and it doesn't work. I don't even know how you would get by that, but like I'm sure it's still there for a reason and not because people are lazy, but I don't know. That one feels really annoying. Yeah, if you just like right click on your desktop and hit refresh, usually they go away. Let the rock coloring commence. Yeah, I saw that there were some changes made to what did you do? You like removed jumping or something? Or was I misreading that? I vaguely recall something where you had posted to the GZ Doom forums, I think. Oh, okay, you just disabled an added feature then, yeah. Makes sense. I don't recall actually using jumping. I probably did, now that I think about it. Did I use jumping in my playthrough? I don't remember. Because I don't remember anybody even saying that it wasn't originally in the game, but it has been like 2 years or something, so. That playthrough still feels pretty recent. I'm kind of surprised that it's actually been years and years ago. This is the transition helper. At least I hope it can help. Yeah, I think that looks a bit better. Kind of get some of the depth back at the edges. Yeah, Go is like a lot of people are skeptical of it, and rightfully so, considering it is related to Google. But despite everybody on the Frauds Club being very skeptical of Google software, it still appears to be the best. So, in spite of our skepticism, it was chosen in spite of that. Not like as if we arrived in the conclusion to choose that because we were unaware or whatever. I've also seen some conversation about how a large portion of software written in Go is actually really bad, but you could say the same about any language, to be honest. So I'm not really sure if that's like worth commenting on. Like literally any language has examples of really poorly written code, right? We were actually originally planning on programming it in straight C, but Go seems to be preserving some of the object-oriented things that we would need, although it's very minimal. We are staying away from object-oriented wherever possible. It seems to preserve the stuff that we can make use of, while also being much faster than C++, or maybe not much. That might be an exaggeration. But fast enough to make a difference. We are deliberately avoiding stuff that's a little bit disproportionately object-oriented, though, so. C++ was like a realistic option, but we would have basically written it as if it were C, so I don't know. I think it's fine to have pivoted to Go in this case. Worst comes to worst, you know, maybe we find out it's actually not that great and we change back. It's close enough to C++ in terms of its syntax that it's not like we have to learn something radically distinct, right? All right, that's in. Like, obviously, if this person is taking issue with it because they would like to use Antikythera, but don't want to use Go, then, well, that's just too bad, isn't it? Probably not very, and it's open source, so anybody can do that. Or it will be open source once it's done, obviously. There are a lot of advantages to using the same language for both interpreted and non-interpreted deployment. It's like massively beneficial and not something that would even be possible with C++ to my knowledge. So, like, maybe it would be possible, but you'd make some pretty big concessions in other areas. Whereas that's just not the case with Go. And it's also not like it's some super obscure language that nobody's done anything in. So there's learning examples, there's what do you call it? Library support and for the few things that we need libraries for, like OpenGL, Raylib, that sort of stuff. Anyway, yeah, I'm certainly open to the idea that Go is not the final language, but that's what we're starting with. Removing RNG is always good. Just saw that. I also thought that sound cues were pretty bad in the original Doom, so it's nice to hear that you augmented those to some degree. One of the things that I distinctly remember about the original Doom is that sound staging was not all that great. So any sort of improvement in that department is certainly welcome. Like, it's obviously better than a lot of modern shooters, but that's not saying much. Oh, yeah. That's probably what I was thinking back to then. Especially those common enemies, right? It's kind of frustrating to not have instant auditory feedback on what enemy you've killed and all that. Or whatever, what enemies you were being attacked by, anything like that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I saw he was credited in like the testing stuff. Did he have much feedback that you were able to use, or was it mostly just like double checking that everything worked? Because I know he's pretty knowledgeable about modding and all of that stuff related in that scene. That's pretty cool. Gonna minimize some of these little orange specks here. Okay, I think we just slap on the old transition at the bottom, and then should be in a pretty good spot overall to save our progress. It's all well and good what it looks like right now, but of course we're going to get into the issue of like whatever the palette decides it should look like after this. Hopefully not too destructive. It's all green and purple in game. What does that mean? In your Doom stuff? Oh wait, no, you were talking about when I fucking changed the palette. I just realized that. I was a bit slow there. Okay. So yeah, at some point we'll tackle this and then these edge tiles, and then we'll be done. Or those like corner tiles or whatever you want to call them. But I think that's enough of work on that for now. I'm certainly what even was it earlier? Tiles? I guess. I don't know what it was. Compare that to this. It looks like large icons. So I think this is the old one. I don't know what the fuck is going on here. I think maybe that's the old one as well. All right. And we'll figure that out later. You can get a kind of a sneak peek here at the changes. This is the current one. This is the new one. You can see it's much more like color accurate. I guess the shading on this one's a little bit better, but it also eats away at a lot of excess stuff. And you can see here there's like shit like this that's just fucked. There's just way less in terms of complete inaccuracies in the new one. And fixing all of that stuff in the old PSD file was never really a thing that I could do. So, all right, I'll finally work on the crevices like I was talking about earlier when I return. Just got to use the bathroom. BRB. I have returned. And I got some food, so I guess I'll take a sec to look at that. Take a chill pill for a moment. All right. Snack break over. I was just looking through this list of factions. Pretty banging, if I don't say so myself. Pretty happy with how those turned out. I think it's pretty refreshing to actually have, like, names with meaning. Faction names, unit names, whatever. Dog in the background. You guys probably didn't even hear him, though. I'm just contractually obligated to say the word dog whenever I hear a dog. All right, only 6 more to go. I guess we'll just keep doing the high dirt ones. No, but they might also be coming at it from a much more experienced angle than I am sourced from. Like, I'm going off of what Veek says in terms of why it should be used. Like, I know what he's explained to me. I'm sure they have some points. Well, at least it wouldn't surprise me if they had some points. But I haven't really heard any actual arguments, no. Somewhat disappointing. Yeah, I agree. Would be pretty epic. It does feel a little like that. I won't lie. It seems like we have a slightly fucked subtile there. Guess I'll have to look into fixing that one later. Orange tile set bad. Yeah, I think Ashworld benefited the most from all of my changes. It's like a legit tile set now. Or at least much closer to that than what it used to be. Wow. Jesus. How have I just never got the one that I wanted? There we go. Ridiculous. Oops. All right. Think we just have the. Wait, what do we have left? We did 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5, 6, 7. Okay. The classic 3 is all that lies in wait. As was foretold. Mm. What's going on, Eunice? Oh, I actually haven't seen that one. I guess that's them trying to be Google. They were trying to be Google with their latest updates to Firefox, as a matter of fact. What were you going to ask about Fallout exactly? Because I haven't even played the original games. I don't think I've played any Fallout game. Somehow managed to avoid them. What do you use that's like a low resolution screen? Is that just like for your phone or something? Or are you one of those wackos who doesn't play CS on native? I usually fix that issue by moving to a frame and then moving to another frame. And then it will play. But it doesn't happen to me when I start playing. It's usually when I first move to a frame in a video, it stops playing, and then I have to move it to another frame and then back again. Or just like move it to the right by whatever small amount. But yeah, it's pretty annoying. Whatever is going on there, it's pretty infuriating. Oh, I see. I guess that actually makes sense. In a pinch, it'll do the trick. I actually used to do that way back when, but I think my resolution was like 1680 or something, some weird res. Oh, I haven't had that problem. on either of my browsers. DF. This does remind me of when a friend of mine from Romania was talking to me about how he doesn't have the new YouTube yet. This is like a while back when they changed one of their things pretty radically. And I was like, "Oh, how do you still have the old YouTube?" And he said, "I have the old YouTube because I live in a demographic, or like, I accomplished this by living in a different demographic region than you." And I was like, "Okay, I'll be there in the morning." Like, jokingly taking a flight, TBH. All right, I think we've creviced everything. What's this video that Veek wants me to? Oh, shit. The Go language. As in, go watch that video, I guess. Yeah, before Google bought it, you mean? Like way back when? The good old days? Hmm. Mike's dog. Only I could stick them there without them sticking out. Pretty infuriating. In some cases, it is actually impressive what Blizzard managed to do with just a couple of very, very limited palette. Where they had these like animations. And then in other cases, you have exactly what DF just said. Any interest in fixing that one, huh, DF? I guarantee you it would look pretty banging. It looks like I accidentally rendered my bridge tiles without the cycling colors, but easy enough to remedy later. There you go. Yeah, I think I vaguely recall New Vegas being one of the buggier ones, but I don't remember. Good luck with your journeys. Maybe we'll see you later for some CS action. Yeah, hopefully fixing that won't be too big of a deal because it is pretty embarrassing that it doesn't already work automatically. Oh, what's up? My name is Lil. How you doing? We actually just did an engine stream. You want to check out our new engine? It's not. It's obviously not done yet, but what a sentence. What a question. What's up, James? The crow thing is just a really old joke. Basically, a lot like this must be over 5 years ago now. A good friend of mine, Patrick, was recording. I think he was recording us, or he was streaming like Dark Souls or something. But anytime there was a crow on screen, he would say, "Ha ha ha, I'm a crow." Except he did it way worse than I do. Somehow I made it better. And then, as a result of that, at some point I made it like even more ridiculous by actually yelling or screaming that in a crow sounding voice, like "I'm a crow," but like really loudly. And I thought that was really funny 5 years ago because it's just how you are when you're younger. And that settled into a more subtle insanity of me just making crow noises. One thing led to another, and now it's just a bit. So it's one of those things that started off kind of mundane and maybe even obnoxious and wound up being, I think, just pretty funny. And that's where we are at now. But if you were worried that it was a furry thing, you don't have to worry about that. That's not why. I guess I'll throw in here that there's like presumed Linux support in the multi-platform thing. That is true. Pretty epic. So yeah, we've put together like a roadmap for what we need to do. That will continue to be fleshed out later on. We obviously I wrote out all these features and stuff, some technical stuff, and then Veek mostly was responsible for starting the actual coding stuff. I assisted with him. We were doing like a collaborative thing, and then we decided we would end up using Raylib, which is a library that will handle the integration with OpenGL for us, which is actually going to be pretty useful. Raylib seems pretty lightweight overall, so our hope is that we can use Raylib to handle the graphics integration with OpenGL to make that not a headache. And since Raylib doesn't have any external dependencies, we don't have to worry about it fractaling outward where like we're constantly in need of like a bunch of other dependencies. We want to just take Raylib, which is open source, make any changes we need to make to it. In theory, we probably won't need to make too many. And then have that handle our OpenGL stuff for graphics display. And once that's figured out to some degree, we can mostly set our sights on like other things. I'm sure we'll dive into some things related to RayLib a bit more on a deeper level when we're handling things like real-time lighting, which unfortunately has a very bad reputation now that StarCraft Remastered made it really ugly. But ideally, we'll have subtle and tasteful changes that will help us out with that. Aside from working on this, though, I mean, we've just got the website, obviously, and then we've also been working on I've been working on a desert map, which is what you see right now. Vulkan takes a lot of effort to learn. You basically need a ton of knowledge of how GPUs work, from what I've scouted. So it's just not really realistic for beginner game devs like us to use it, as far as I'm concerned. And people are just in general more familiar with OpenGL. I think some people are more familiar with DirectX, but that's just a disaster. So I'm not going to bother with that. And it will just start off as like a port of Hydra, basically. Yeah, that's something I deliberately allowed for, because there's just, in Hydra, there are more things that have that range. So we figured, or I figure, yeah, it makes sense. Hydra on Android. We're not worried at all about like the whole porting thing. I wonder why this is unpathable but buildable. I guess I'll just change that to be pathable, since I don't know why it wouldn't be. I also don't think we need anything other than OpenGL, to be honest. Like, it seems to me like there's not really much of a need for anything more complex than what OpenGL can provide. So we might get some ephemeral benefit from using Vulkan, but I don't know what it would be exactly. Yeah, Hydra on Wii U. Motion and touchscreen controls. We are targeting, like, I think it says it on the webpage somewhere. I'm pretty sure it says it anyway. Exceedingly low system requirements, targeting any machine that can run Brood War, old operating systems notwithstanding. Basically meaning that if you are currently able to run Hydra, at the very least, then you should be able to run this game. That's like our ideal scenario. And you should be able to run it. By run it, I don't mean just barely get it into the menu. I think your hands would get tired. I imagine these games will just be playable in, like, with your brain being the gatekeeper. Like, your brain is the rate limiter, so to speak. Then for once and for all, we'll prove who has the biggest brain. Or actually, maybe big brains are not what you want in such a scenario. Maybe you want smaller brains so that the latency is less intense. There's an idea. What's up, Balethal? I thought there was another SCV dude, but I guess it's just in sand dunes. Dune Dad. The breakfast of champions. I wonder what this is supposed to be. Maybe it's like a beta Goliath or something. But these look more like Goliath pieces, sort of. So I don't know what the fuck this is. Hello, Omkar Patel. Hopefully I said your first name correctly. And your last name, for that matter. Welcome. Just more beaten up. Yeah, maybe. What's up, King Khan? Yeah, it's a first-person RTS, dude. Come on. Everybody's favorite. I vaguely recall. Aren't there like VR tower defense games or something? I feel like maybe that's what that reminds me of. Anyway, I could be completely wrong about that though. It's okay, man. We all have problems. Can't let your problems define you. The fuck? There we go. Oh, Almost. There we go. Sure that won't corrupt our map? Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. Have you tell your English to work out, dude. Go to the gym. Start benching those grammar lessons. By the way, I do find this one to be really comical. This is supposed to be like a bridge or something across a crevice, I guess. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's like a pulley system or something for a well. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's really goofy. The scale is all off. A fallen Eiffel Tower. Could be, I guess. Didn't think about that one. Don't really want to impede on that too much. Yeah, of course. I'm from America, homie. You just keep practicing it. That's how you improve anything. You can't give up the fight. The Frauds Club brings people together, you hear? Alright, got a couple of doodads. Yeah, could you imagine when people read like my reviews or whatever? It would be pretty funny. From Pakistan. Do you know my boy Tea Time? He's a pretty cool guy. Yeah. That might not be true. I haven't played every game, obviously. But yeah, that wouldn't be a massive surprise, I guess. Is it morning? It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Because that's the correct time, of course. Oh wait, I just put that dude out there. My dad techniques are slipping. Whoa! Whoa! Double whoa. Oh, never mind. Steer clear of that one. Aw, man. Unreasonable randomizer. Randomizer. Proving RNG sucks even in map making. Yeah, you got it is a crazy difference in terms of time. No, I have not. Not really my kind of game. Probably wouldn't be above a 6, if you know what I mean. To follow up on what Balethal was just saying. There we go. Slap that in there. A long-legged Mac Daddy. I wonder if I would believe that the Metacritic score or whatever is what would you call it? I could believe that the Metacritic score is like a deliverable or something for like these investors or like or a selling point maybe. It's like our games regularly get 8.2 out of 10 on Metacritic or whatever. I don't know, whatever the rating thing is. I could believe that that's like a real thing. Right? So yeah, it would probably not just get the fanboys mad, but also the investors too. Or not the investor, or the actual developer firms or whatever. I don't really want to infringe on build space too much, so I think we'll leave that one be. TBH. And I guess to that end, I can probably slap down high sand dunes here instead of asphalt so that it looks a little bit more coherent. Instead of there being like random bit of you know, man-made terrain there for no reason. There we go. Yeah, it's not my style, homie. Some souls are too pure for this earth. Or at least for this part of the earth. This part of the digital earth. It's going to be a long time to actually fully decorate this map out. Get it completely kitted. Well, if it's mostly like what you've grown up with or whatever, I imagine the issue is more so like availability of PC hardware or something. But yeah, I guess anecdotally anyway, I know some people from Pakistan who have issues like networking or connecting or whatever for multiplayer games. Maybe it's like easier for the mobile side of things because it sends less data or whatever. Could be anything. TBH. That would be like if I lost a bet or something. That's what I would have to do. I would have to do it, but I would have to like try my best not to laugh at how ridiculous some of the gameplay was. That would be the bet. That might actually be content, to be honest. Yeah, I guess on like a technical sense or whatever, it's probably more necessary to have wired or cellular access or whatever. It's like some things the things you can't do with a PC or can't do with the phone but can do with a PC are kind of minimal. So yeah, that probably has something to do with it, if I had to guess. Yeah, okay. If that is the case, that's pretty wild. It's pretty big stat gap. Oh wait, I just put that over there. Yeah, sure. Got to get my soda cans. I don't know what these are actually supposed to be. They're probably like, oh yeah, they're probably like oil tankers or something. But I look at them like soda cans. Like the Xbox or PlayStation or whatever, like those gaming consoles. Le Super Nintendo. I always do wonder why this space age technology setting has like ramshackle huts and stuff. Doesn't really make any sense, but lard gonna lard, I guess. Mm. Mm. How would I do this exactly? What insane permutation shall I commence? Here we go. Fuck yeah. Oh shit, I have to install that, don't I? Oh, I'm also out of water. Oh, I actually still have Dawn of War 3. Oh yeah, I had this installed because I wanted to I had all of these games installed so that I could rip the models, and then I never ripped the models. There we go. Yeah, they have to like plan around the the release of a game or whatever and preload it. Too bad. This is a fucking weird tile. I think we can still do... Yeah, whatever. I'll revisit that later. He was talking about, like, people in America, so not really related to Pakistan. Destroyed IMO. Brutality. Some weird turbo deep voiceover in the music that I was just listening to. They didn't say brutality, but they may as well have. Oops. I still can't believe that. I think it's isn't it like COD Warzone or something where you can't download it if on like a 250 gigabyte SSD because it's more than that or something absurd. It is quite shocking, actually, how ridiculously bloated some stuff is these days. All right. Well, I've managed to get some progress made on the aesthetics anyway. Mostly on the lower half of the map, I guess, but we got some doodads placed around the place. I'm not sure when I'll be back. Let me check the schedule. I should be back sometime tomorrow, but I might be doing engine development instead of this, so we shall see. 160 gigs. When you've hit triple digits, you've lost, I think. Well, I think that'll wrap things up, but we'll be back in a half an hour or so, and I will spend that time playing some Counter-Strike with the boys. So we'll see whoever's here then, and until then, thanks everybody for joining. Shall be back momentarily.